It isn't like we only exist in May. We exist all the time. Hello, welcome to my channel, Edible Thoughts Makes. My name is Stephanie, and this channel is where I share with you my works in progress, finished projects, books I'm reading, things I'm cooking up, funny things my kids may say. My hope is that as you watch this episode and the previous episodes that you find some inspiration along the way. We are closing in on the second week of May, year 2021, and this is episode, I believe it's episode 58. If you are new here, a warm welcome, and if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. It is a beautiful spring day outside. We are getting a steady forecast of sunshine and 60s, and our frost warnings may be over. We still had frost earlier this week when I woke up one of the mornings, so our evenings and nights still get to like 30s, 40s, but we should be able to start planting our vegetable garden soon once the frost advisory like season time. I can't think of what that's called. Anyway, once the risk of frost, there you go, the risk of frost is over. As always, my videos do have closed captioning provided for accessibility, and the things that I talk about will be linked in the description box below. We have, I think, 4 weeks of school left. That's really exciting. As you may know, or if you are a new viewer, you may not know, I have 2 young children, and we have been full-time distance learning since the pandemic started, so since March of 2020. It is what is working for us, but I'm still excited for it to be done with. I think we all are. Especially with the warmer weather, it's just nice to be able to go outside and not be on like a very strict schedule as far as what's happening when, and just to have a little more flexibility in our day-to-day. Today I do have several finished projects to share with you. A lot of them are sewing related. I have a few works in progress to share with you. I think 2 or 3 of them might be new ones that I haven't shared here yet. And because it is May, it is AAPI, or Asian American Pacific Islander Month, I do have some things that I want to highlight related to that as well. So grab a beverage and let's get started. So I think the first thing that I want to talk about is Asian American Pacific Islander Month. So I feel like when there are cultures assigned to certain months to highlight, I just want to make sure that people take it as maybe a time to focus on learning about a different culture or your own culture, but also to carry that on throughout the year. People who identify as Asian American or Pacific Islander, it isn't like we only exist in May. We exist all the time, and it is part of who we are. And I want to remind people that we aren't all the same. Everybody has a different story, and yes, there are pieces within the stories that may intertwine, things that we find that we have in common with each other, but we are individuals, and the way that we tell our story, our narratives, will not all be the same. And that's the same for immigrants as well. Some choose to some willingly leave their countries to find more opportunities elsewhere, and others are forced out of the countries that they may call home. So I would just invite you to explore the heritage of others that aren't your own, but also be mindful and respectful of each person's individual story. And also to remember that nobody owes you their story. Some may wish not to tell their story. Some may just not be ready to go there and share very personal and private details about their life. And some may just not want to talk about it. So for me, I may choose not to share a lot of information or stories about myself publicly or to like the internet. But I might be more comfortable sharing with it one-on-one or to a few people or close friends or in person, right? It's very different when you are talking to a camera or just to like people you're not even sure who's gonna watch or not watch. It's kind of strange that way because you're like talking to yourself and yet you're talking to like an unknown audience. Anyway, that's kind of a little bit off on a tangent, but yeah, I guess my point is that take time to learn about people who may be different from you. Take time to find connections and maybe learn more about yourself. But take that beyond a specific month. So, like I said before, Black, Brown, Indigenous people, like we don't just exist during a designated month to learn about our history and our culture. We exist 365 days a year, and we should be celebrated all the time in all our different many ways. So, with that said, there are several projects in this episode that I will be sharing that have either an AAPI yarn dyer or designer, or although some of them are Canadian, so not exactly AAPI, I guess that's ACPI. I don't know if that acronym is out there, but Asian Canadian. I will plan on putting probably a list in the description box below that just highlights that specifically. But first off, I think I'll talk about what I'm wearing. This is the colorful Keepsake shawl by Tina Tse. And she identifies as an American-born Chinese. She had a mystery knit along for this shawl. I think it was last year. I can't remember exactly. And I just love how mine turned out. It is really big. I even cut out a section because I thought it was big enough for what I would wear. And I just love it. There are all these different textured sections to keep it interesting. There are slip stitches, there's a little lace. And I used Malabrigo for this pink Malabrigo sock. I think it's called Light of Love or Love Light or something to do with love and light. And then this bluey color is the Yarn Collective Fleurville 4-ply in Delphinium. And then the white with blue and orange and pink in it is Harlequin Robot by Sarah of Traveled Yarn, or Less Traveled Yarn. So I wear this a lot. It is super comfortable. It is a fingering weight shawl that is humongous, and it's an asymmetrical triangle, but a deeper asymmetrical triangle. I feel like some asymmetrical triangle shawls are really long, but this one's a deeper one. I can kind of back up so you can see it better maybe. All right. And the other item I'd like to share with you is the sweatshirt that I'm wearing. It is designed by Tao Nguyen of Nerdbird Makery, and I just love all the things she makes. Super fun. So this sweatshirt says, "Nevertheless she knitted," and it is really comfortable. I love to throw it on over things. As you can tell, it has a really wide boat neck, so I tend to wear like a tank top or something, or t-shirt underneath it. Right now I'm wearing it over a linen dress, but super cozy and comfortable. All right, so let's get into some finished projects. I will share with you, I think, a pair of socks first. So these socks I knit out of Sweet Georgia's Tough Love sock base, and that's an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and Sweet Georgia is an Asian Canadian company based out of, I think, Vancouver. Look at these super fun shorty socks. So I had been missing knitting with variegated yarns. I feel like it's really fun because you never know what's going to come out. I knit this pair of shorties originally for my mom, but I'm thinking I knit it like slightly too long, like maybe half an inch too long for her. She has pretty narrow feet, and I think they just might be a little bit too big, but they fit me, which is why I know they might be a little bit too big for her. So I might keep them and then knit her another pair. But the colorway is Dream Maker. And what I did for this pair of socks is, let's see here, I used a US 1 or 2.25 millimeter needle, and my favorite 9-inch circulars are made by Chaogu, and I'll tell you a little bit about Chaogu. It is a company that ships out of Michigan, but it is a family-owned company that started by 4 brothers who were born in China, and the manufacturing for the needles is still done in China, and it's named Chaogu after their mother, and it means like highly skillful, crafty lady. So it's named after their mother, and their grandfather used to make the bamboo needles before they had these metal ones. And yeah, they're my favorite 9-inch circulars. I also like the longer ones that I use on sweaters and things like that. And they have interchangeable needles as well. Yes, okay, so I used 9-inch US 1 2.25 millimeter needles, and I did an Old Norwegian or German twisted cast on of 56 stitches. I did a knit 2 purl 2 ribbing, also known as a 2x2 ribbing, for 15 rounds. And then I knit 10 rounds in stockinette for the leg, and then I did a slip stitch, heel flap, turn, and gusset. And then that took up 22 rounds to do the gusset, and then I knit 50 rounds for the foot before starting the toe. I really like a rounded toe, so I knit 3 rounds first, and then started alternating my decrease rounds, which decreases by 4 stitches, with a knit even round, which doesn't decrease any stitches. And I do that until I have 20 stitches for the instep, 20 stitches for the bottom of the foot, and then I decrease every round until I have 10 stitches for the top of the foot, 10 stitches for the bottom of the foot, and then I Kitchener. So that is my shorty sock that was initially made for my mom, but I think I will keep these and knit her another pair. I do have plenty of yarn remaining. It started out as 119 grams, and I have 64 grams left, so I only used 55 grams for the pair of shorty socks, and so I can knit her another pair. So my other finished project was a pair of socks for Denise's test knit. I shared a little bit about it in a previous episode, but I'm going to wait to talk about them until the pattern releases. So I'm going to save that for the next time. So my other finished projects I'd like to share with you are sewn. If you watched some previous episodes, you may know that I really enjoy sewing project bags. I do not sell them. I am not like a, what do you call it? Production line sewer. I like to change things up. My measurements may not always be exactly the same, and it's just a fun way for me to be creative and make functional art. So I have a bunch here. So I talked a little bit about how I have recently learned that these patchwork or quilt blocks all have names to them. And I believe this one's the Sawtooth block, and I'm playing around with it because it's really fun. You can cut out the pieces for like a final finished block of 6 inches or 8 inches or however many you are looking for, whatever size you're looking for. And it's fun to kind of piece together different colors. And I really like how this one turned out. It has kind of an aqua robin's egg blue center with bright flowers, and then a peachy orange star points, a minty, I don't know what that's called, triangle sections between, and then these closed pin dolls. I've had this fabric forever, maybe not 10 years, maybe like 6 or 8 years, no, maybe around 8 years, I don't really remember. Anyway, I really like how the fabric looks. They're super fun. And then the inside, I just did kind of this white linen blend on the inside, and it's a drawstring, kind of like a sock. It's a sock size or a small shawl. Oh, and then the bottom is a boxed bottom of unbleached, like a natural canvas. Here is another Sawtooth. I love how this turned out. So here I was playing around with what fabrics I use for what sections. So I learned about flying geese, which is a term used for a certain cutout. I think it's this. Is it this cutout here with the square and the 2 triangles? But I'm still trying to remember like which pieces are the sky and which piece is the goose and which piece is the points. I think so. These indigo parts I think are the points, and then the triangle in between I think is the goose, and then you have your center feature square, and then I think the squares on the corners are called the sky. I am a newbie to all of this lingo, so if I'm incorrect, sorry. But I love how this one turned out. I love the bird in the middle. I just love birds and floral. And then I continued this indigo floral pattern on the back. And this one also has the woven linen blend fabric on the inside. And I made needle cozies to match with this bag. They're so cute. So the snaps I find really satisfying. Like the sound of snapping and unsnapping them, really satisfying. So on the inside I have this bright coral fabric, and then I have the bird fabric on the outside. I don't knit with double pointed needles a lot. Well, no, that's not true. I like to use double pointed needles when I am picking up like thumbs for mittens, and I like to use them on heel flaps for socks, because I feel like it's less fidgety than having like, with Magic Loop, having like a big cable around. So I like to use double pointed needles for those sections. And oftentimes I can't get through like an entire heel flap maybe in one sit down. And so I like to put them in something so that they don't fall off, or, you know, kids don't mess with it. And these little cozies are just so cute. I've made other ones before, but the other ones I had, I think, were a little short because I'd made them for my 5-inch double pointed needles, which I really like, but yeah, too short for like 6-inch ones. I probably just should have made the 5-inch ones longer to begin with, because then you can use it for both. As long as the button snaps are farther in, it's not like the needles will fall out if it's a little bit too long. anyway, I had a great opportunity to make matching ones for a new bag. So fun! Alright, now here's another one. Again, another sawtooth. So I experimented with this one by having the fabric be the same all outside of the star. So this one, the fabric's the same all outside of the star. This one, the fabric's the same, kind of the bordering of the star. And then this one had it all different around the star. So this one makes the star stand out more since the background is all the same. And then on the back here, I did it more kind of patchworky. And this is all, I think, duck canvas, 100% cotton duck canvas. And the colors go really nicely together. I was kind of feeling the mint and tangerine and cream combo, and now I want to make a pair of stripy socks with mint, cream, and tangerine. I think I can make that happen. There's some coral, peachy coral, so peachy coral, mint, tangerine, maybe like a buttercup yellow. Ooh, that'll look really fun. Yeah, I'll think about it. I'll see what I have and maybe make that happen. All right, last one is this super cute bag. So this one probably is a good size for like a pair of shorty socks, or like 50 grams, because it's so small. I don't know exactly the size. I think it's probably like 6 by 8, maybe. Maybe this bottom here is 6. It is a box bottom, canvas on the bottom, and this beautiful pink floral all around with some gold accents on it, and then a sky blue drawstring channel. But yeah, I love how this one turned out too, and I think it'll be a really good size for shorties. I do want to make more shorties this summer, shorty socks, that is. I feel like I wear socks pretty much year round. I mean, in the summer, a lot of times I don't wear socks, but my feet do get cold really easily. Side note, I had frostbite on my toes as a kid, and every once in a while it, like, I don't know if flares up is the right terminology for it, but if it gets too cold, then some of the symptoms from the frostbite return. I won't go into details because not everybody wants to hear those details, but yeah, so I try to keep my toes warm, otherwise it's just not good. Anyway, so those are my bags, and one more sewn item. Isn't this so cute? So it's a scissors holder. So in a previous episode, I had talked about how I had always wanted those like really fun, cute scissors that are really sharp. So I had bought this rose gold stork pair of scissors from Wild Hand, and I needed something to put them in. A lot of times I'll put stuff in like little cups or mugs or whatever on a desk that I'm working at, but I was hesitant to stick these in anything just because they're so sharp and I didn't want to mess with the point. So then I found a scissors cozy, a scissors holder pattern online, and I will link to that in the description box below. And it's kind of fun because it even has an option for like a second pocket in the front, which I can put a tapestry needle or yarn needle, which is always handy. I think if I make another one, I can also add like a little tab with a jump ring to like attach progress keepers and stuff. So essentially it's like a little notions pouch, but I love it. It's so cute. I did make a mistake when I was tracing out the pattern. I think I shifted my fabric a little bit, so my top flap does not center, but I kind of like it off center, because with it off center it closes over the outside pocket versus like having it more in the center and like, I don't know, slightly overlapping or not. I don't know. I haven't made it correctly, so I don't know how it would turn out if I didn't have it sideways. There is some binding optional on the side. My binding work is not particularly exceptional, so the front looks good. The back's a little wonky, but it's only because my second line of stitching didn't quite get to where it's supposed to be, but it's secure, it's functional, it works, and I really like it. So, super fun. Okay, the first work in progress I'd like to share with you is a pair of socks that I am knitting for my husband. I have so far knit him, I think like 4 pairs of socks maybe? Yeah, I think 4. And he wears them. He doesn't tend to wear them out of the house as much, but he does wear them at home. And these ones I am knitting out of Patons Kroy socks in the colorway Cadet. And I love this yarn. It's more of a sport weight, and it's marled, and it shifts the color throughout. And I love how it wears. It wears really well. It washes really well. It is 75% wool, 25% nylon, and I believe it's both machine and dryer friendly, like washing machine and dryer friendly. I tend to air dry all of our wool socks, but I will throw them into the washing machine on like the wool setting on cold, and it just washes it very delicately, and then I just hang dry them all. And they've turned out just fine. So I was initially going to follow a pattern. I was going to follow the Vanilla Latte Socks pattern. It is a free pattern that comes in 3 sizes. So a cast on of 56 stitches, 64 stitches, or 72 stitches using a US 1 2.25 millimeter needle. Because this is sport weight, I'm using a US 1.5 2.5 millimeter needle. And I was going to do the Vanilla Latte Socks pattern, and it has like broken rib through the purl channels, but I forgot to knit only the next round and kept going with the ribbing. So instead, I'm not really using that pattern. Oh well. So I'm knitting a really fun ribbed sock. I started with Old Norwegian cast on or German twisted cast on of 64 stitches. I have found my for my husband, casting on 64 stitches using a US 1.5 millimeter needle fits his feet really well. So I did a 2x2 ribbing, knit 2, purl 2, and then I am doing knit 6, purl 2. Yeah, and then I'm doing knit 6, purl 2 all the way around. And what I really like is how the purl channel continues from the cuff into the leg. I just think it looks really cool. So I'm not doing the broken rib and the purl channels, which would be purling one round, knitting the other. I'm just purling all the way down the purl channels. So I'm not sure how long I'm going to make the leg. Probably maybe 5 inches from the cuff. We'll see. We'll see when I decide to stop. And then put in the heel. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset or something else. We will see when I get there. So this is kind of my vanilla sock knitting, if you will. Vanilla refers to like kind of like a basic pattern or just stockinette. So this one's not just stockinette. There's purling involved, but minimal thinking. So that is in a bag that I sewed, I think last year or the year before. It's a plaid flannel zipper bag, and I added tabs on the side so that I can put like a detachable crossbody belt, crossbody, what do you call it? Crossbody, not belt, strap, crossbody strap on it, which is great for when we're out or walking with the kids. I can still knit as I go. And since it is a pattern that I don't really have to think about, don't really have to look down much on, just have to make sure I know where the purl channels are. It's an easy one to kind of take on the go, and then because I'm using my favorite 9-inch circulars, I can start and stop as needed. I don't have to like finish a row if I'm like on magic loop so that it doesn't like sit wonky in the bag. So that is that. The next work in progress I'd like to share with you is a pair of forest fruit socks. Designer is Sachiko Bergen. She's a Japanese-Canadian designer, and I am using my May Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad sock set. Farmer's Daughter Fibers is Indigenous woman owned. Candace is the owner, and she puts out fabulous colors. And this month, let's see if I have the tag here. Here is the Sock Squad logo. She is based out of Montana. And this month the colorway is Say Hello to My Little Friend on Bear Paw Sock. And Bear Paw Sock, here is the tag on the screen, 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, 10% nylon. And it's 437 yards for 100 grams, and it comes with a mini, which is 87 yards for 20 grams. And the colors are so fun. I really enjoy them. So the main color is this teal, and it has kind of that warm gray brown color underneath. So it's not completely like a flat solid. And then the mini is this beautiful coppery brown. I love a good coppery brown. I just want all the coppery browns. Warm browns, that's my neutral. I think I've mentioned it before. Browns, warm browns are my neutral. So you ready to see the socks? Isn't that beautiful? So it's a colorwork sock, and then the rest of it is just stockinette. I did alter the pattern a little bit. So the pattern comes in one size, and that is because of how the colorwork chart works out. And the way you modify it to fit the size that you want is by changing the needle size. So the pattern calls for US 1 or 2.25 millimeter needles, so I went down to US 0, 2 millimeter needles, again on 9-inch circulars by Gu, and especially for colorwork, I will use 9-inch circulars because I feel like my tension can be more even. I don't have any intersections to work around where I have to either pull tighter or make sure it's extra loose and then have like kind of strange stitch tension in each of the intersections, because if I'm going around and around without any intersections, then my tension can be even all the way throughout. Some people will adjust for the colorwork sections by going up a needle size because their colorwork might be a little tight. I use the same needle size throughout. So what I changed was I changed the cuff a little bit and my cast on number. So since I knew I needed to adjust the needle size and the stitch count so that it would fit my feet better, I just did a little math, and then I increased shortly after the cuff so that I would be at the right stitch count before I started the colorwork chart. Then after the colorwork chart was finished, I decreased a little bit back down to the stitch count that I thought would match better for my feet. And then I went ahead and did my heel flap and turn in the contrast color. I believe in the pattern it just uses the main color, but I wanted to use my mini color here. And then I am just on the gusset decreases here. And I feel like this yarn works up really nicely, like a really nice denser fabric without being stiff on the US zeros, so it's a good match. The progress keepers I have on my project are made by my friend Maria of Woolen Forest, also an Asian American maker. She identifies as Korean American. And so I have like an evergreen tree on one, and the other one has a moon. And I just love how these are working up. So something to note is I blocked one of them already so that I could kind of make sure the fit was going to be okay. So I can't try them on while they're on 9-inch circulars, but I can just knit one round onto magic loop so that there's more room for me to slide it over my foot, and it fits really well. So you can see that this color work here has been blocked. So basically I just got a bowl of water and then stuck the sock in the water, but only up through the color work. And then after 15 minutes I took it out, squeezed the water out, pressed it between towels and let it dry on a blocker that I just kind of inserted to pass the color work. But you can see how the stitches have really evened out and it's nice and smooth. The second sock I have not blocked yet, so you'll notice it's a little more like wrinkly. The stitches haven't really settled into their spaces and it looks a lot more scrunched up. So very different between blocked on this side and not blocked on this side. But I absolutely love how the colors are working together. I am on gusset decreases for both sections now. I've mentioned in previous episodes before, I prefer knitting my socks 2 at a time in tandem, so on their own needles. It allows me to have similar tension in each section as I go, and I finish a pair of socks. I do understand that it's not always like the most affordable option, because you do need then 2 sets of needles. If you decide to learn how to knit your socks 2 at a time on 1 cable needle, I feel like that's a really affordable option, because you only need one, like a 32-inch circular, and you can knit 2 socks at the same time. I have tried that in the past. I did not enjoy it because I felt lopsided, like, because one side's always like hanging off on the side. So I didn't like it. I might try it again one day and see how I feel about it, but that just wasn't the method for me. What works for me are the 9-inch circulars, and knitting 2 on their own needles at the same time. So the next work in progress I'd like to share with you is only kind of a snippet of it. It is the Odds and Ends cardigan that I am test knitting for Tina Say. And I am working on the pockets now. So I have finished the body of the sweater, I have seamed the sides, and I have actually wet blocked it, and it's taking a few days to dry because it is such a big piece and it's DK weight. And I wanted to block it first because for the pockets I will block them separately and then sew them in. So this is a piece of the pocket that I'm working on so far. I'm holding fingering weight double because that's how the entire sweater is made, and I'm just loving it. It's really fun. The progress keeper I have on here says breathe. I'm setting goals for myself to knit like X number of rounds of the pocket each day. It doesn't take much concentration for it, which is nice because then it is also something that I can be working on with my kids and still be present to my children, but also be working with something on my hands. Okay, the last work in progress I want to share with you is one that I had teased about on my Instagram. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to it, like cast on or not. I was just kind of doing some math for it, but I did cast on. It is in a project bag that I sewed. I love this bag. Oh, so a note on this illustrator. Her name is Cecilia Mock, and she is an Asian Australian illustrator, and I just love all her designs. I actually have a few of her fabrics. I just really like her aesthetic. It's fun. Some of them have more like a mod style to them. Some of them look kind of vintage, like the bunnies project bag that I've made in the past. I think I've shown it on here. That fabric is designed by her, and I have another one that I haven't sewn up yet that I'm really excited about. It's kind of summery night themed that I'm gonna sew up, and yeah, I just really, really love it. So, you ready? Now this is the grain shawl. It's a free pattern by Tin Can Knits, and it is a triangular garter shawl that you can knit in pretty much any weight. So they give you estimates for worsted weight, DK weight, fingering weight, and also give you the suggested needle size. So I'm knitting mine with fingering weight held double, so essentially a DK weight, and I went up a needle size from the recommended needle size of US 7 or 4.5 millimeter. I'm using a US 8 or 5 millimeter. I just wanted a slightly less dense fabric. I've made one of these for one of my daughters previously, and I wanted to make sure that they each had one. So I am using yarns by Christina of Teal Torch Knits. She is also an Asian American dyer, and I am using a collection of minis from her and like held together with like a main yarn. So the main yarn is this beautiful speckle on a cream base. It is so pretty. And then the minis are all in this little bag here, a little matching bag that I made for the bigger bag. I can try to take them all out, but I think it's just going to make a big mess. So I think I'll insert a picture, like my tees picture that I put up on Instagram here on the screen. So make sure you take a look at that if you are curious. And I will show you my swatch. That might be helpful, then you can see how it'll come together. Isn't this a beautiful swatch? So this swatch was actually initially for a different project. I was going to make the Rocket Tee by Tanis Fiber Arts using the yarns held together and just marl them until I finished. The actual tee is for fingering weight and mohair, but I didn't want to do that. And then I did a swatch using, I think, the same needle size as the pattern calls for, just to kind of see what my gauge would be at. So then I could knit that tee up in a denser fabric. But then I decided that, I don't know, I think my kids would like this bright color more than I would wear the tee with this bright, like with these bright colors. Like, I'd probably wear it, but I think they would get more wear out of the shawl and being bright, and it'd make them happy. So I changed my mind on that, but I still love the swatch. You ready? So I just started it, so it's not super far along, but here it is. Isn't that so fun? And the progress keeper I have on it is a rainbow. I don't know if the colors are being captured very well on here. I hope so. So it's like a super bright neon pink and held together with this cream speckled base. There's like little rainbows everywhere. So this pattern has a garter tab to start, and then you just continue that garter border. And it's really lovely. The increases are done with yarn overs. So you'll have yarn overs in the center and yarn overs along your border. And then it's reversible, because even the center spine, it isn't like you slip any of the knit stitches over to create like more of a spine. It's garter, and then has the eyelets on each side, so there's no right or wrong side, which is great because I don't think my kids really care if there's a right or wrong side anyway. But yes, I just love them. I think it's super fun, and it's a quick knit because it's DK weight at a very loose gauge. And it'll just be something that I pick up here and there, and I think it'll be much loved and worn. Where we live, it gets chilly in the evenings and in the mornings, even through the summer, so our opportunities to wear knitwear and wool is kind of all the time. So that is that. I did want to share some things about books by Asian American authors, but the stack of books that I pulled together has been taken by my children, and I didn't write anything down. So I will not be going on a treasure hunt to look for those books right now, but I will say on my Instagram, I made a saved highlights section for representation in children's books. Now, it isn't specific to AAPI authors. It is just more of a broader scope of representation, but I do find that that is really important. I mean, children notice the differences in people from infancy and toddlerhood, whether or not they vocalize it. And as adults and just like people in society, I think it is a responsibility that we have to teach our children that people are different and that we can value people's, we can value and celebrate different cultures and people's heritage, and be proud of who we are as well. And so I do think that having access and opportunities to read books that you find connection with and to learn from is just really, really important. All right, so Everything that I talked about today will hopefully be in the description box below. If I forgot something, I will edit it in later. You can also remind me in the comments if you want to. If you feel up to it, leave me a comment below. Let me know how you're doing, what you're working on, maybe some good books that you are reading and would recommend to other people. Other people can then go check it out. I hope you are doing well. Cheers to being creative. Oh, let me show you the other side. It's hard because I pick up mugs with my right hand, so then if anything has like a design on it that isn't all the way around, then you don't see it. So, any other Totoro fans here? We're big fans here. Anyway, cheers to being creative. I hope you are doing well. Take care, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.